Hi, everybody. If you're looking for the best in podcasts, audio series, and music, please check out the Forever Adventure Network. We have podcasts such as the Never Gets Old podcast. We have audio series such as the MacGyver SG-1 audio series and music by Harmony Constant, as well as blogs, comics, and more. Please check us out at the Forever Adventure Network. And as always, thanks for joining the adventure.
The Forever Adventure Network. Welcome to the adventure.
Good morning, Mr. Tanaka.
Good morning, Lucy. Could you get me all the files on the upgrades to the Rampart Casino?
Sure thing. Give me a half hour, 45 minutes. Okay, so I was able to get everything for the last 2 years, but we may need to ask for the bill of lading for... Mr. Tanaka?
See? See, that way the oxygen could still fuel the flames, even though it's underground. It's mid-morning, and MacGyver is returning to his loft home with Cindy and their young daughter, Caitlin. It's one of many trips up the steps from their garage to lug up all the camping equipment. Most of the larger items, like the tent and portable grill, could stay downstairs. But too many things needed to be washed after camping in one of MacGyver's favorite forest spots. It was fun, but after a week, the girls were ready to come home. All three were wearing their typical camping attire of t-shirts, jeans, and Mac had his favorite blue baseball hat on. It seems to be one of the only items that didn't need a deep cleaning.
Cool! Can we do that next time, Dad?
As her dad nodded, her mother sighed with slight exaggeration.
Hang on, you two. We just got home. Let's take a breather and enjoy being here, huh?
What can I say? She's my kid, all right.
Yeah, no kidding. I've never seen a kid so comfortable outdoors. Speaking of which, I'm showering first. You two can empty the bags and get the washer going.
Saved by the bell. Hello?
Hey, it's Jack. We have a lead.
Lead? His eyes met with his wife's, which were now rolling to say silently, here we go.
Yeah, we got a hit on a missing persons case. A big real estate tycoon disappeared from the 32nd floor of an office. The only other person there was a receptionist at the elevator entrance.
Well, that's interesting, but what does that have to do with me, Jack?
Well, the Pentagon is set up to monitor certain words, phrases, and symbols from across the internet. A couple years ago, I added something that I wanted to keep an eye on. The symbol of the circle with a line through it.
Like the one I was given on that card that time. Well, but nothing ever came of that. Until now. I mean, the fact that it's tied to a disappearance makes it worth checking out. Don't you think? Yeah. Well, pack a bag. There's a military flight waiting for you. I'll meet you there. Yeah, alright. Where are we going anyway? He can already feel Cindy's disappointment from behind him. Las Vegas. The MacGyver SG-1 audio series. Episode 22. Death spins the wheel. The past. He couldn't think of many other places that he liked as little as Las Vegas, Nevada. He had some assignments near here years ago, but hated every minute of it. It was too hot in the daytime and then uncomfortably cold at night. The worst part, though? The Strip. Bright, shiny, flickering buildings with shoulder-to-shoulder people typically up to no good. It was the opposite of what MacGyver enjoyed. Now, here he was, walking through the airport, overnight bag slung over his shoulder and entering the belly of the beast. He scanned the crowd of travelers, trying to decipher those coming with hope in their eyes and those leaving with empty pockets. Through the crowd came a familiar face. Practically his own, bounding up to greet him. "Hey, brother o' mine." Jack enthusiastically took his brother's hand and grabbed his shoulder with the other. He seemed more excited than normal. "Hey, Jack. How are you?" "Great. You ready to get going?" Yeah. You seem uncharacteristically chipper. How come? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the energy of the city. Maybe I was thinking of placing a few bets. I thought maybe we might have time to go fishing or just be tourists for once. Well, I just want to get answers. That symbol has haunted me for too long. Oh, definitely, yeah, we'll get them. No doubt about that, but after Vegas. They made their way to the rental car and headed towards the cornucopia of towering lights and bright billboards. Mac kept a side eye on his brother, who seemed unfazed by the gaudy displays. Usually, this kind of thing would elicit a grunt or a groan, but he seemed to be genuinely enjoying himself. So, how'd my little monkey toes enjoy your first camping trip? Great. Really great. And she took to it like a duck to water. Couldn't get enough of the creek. Even baited her first hook. No matter how cranky he tried to act, Jack always had a soft spot for kids. Kids and animals. His niece held a special place in his heart. Mac loved to watch the two of them together since the day she was born. The stories of her always made Jack smile. He hated to change the subject. So, Jack, do you know where we're going? Are they expecting us? Yeah. Did you see that tall building across from the Bellagio sign? There. He pointed, still gripping the wheel. The secretary's waiting. Well, what happened? Well, like I was telling you on the phone, this big shot business guy walks into his office yesterday and disappears. The only two people in there was him and his receptionist, and she's the one who called it in. The colonel found a place to park on a side street, and the two made their way around to the main entrance, through the lobby and into the elevator. They noticed it relatively quiet for a weekday. It was still early, but Mac could see the strip and surrounding area glowing as he peeked out the glass elevator walls. His stomach flipped as he mistakenly glanced down. His brother caught his reaction out the corner of his eye and sympathized. When the door opened, they were greeted by a lonely hallway with a few plaques on the wall. There was generic instrumental music playing quietly overhead, like you would hear in an elevator or a grocery store. They cautiously made their way down the tunnel, arriving at a lone desk with a young, pretty receptionist scribbling something on a notepad. Jack was already reaching for his ID. Hi, I'm Colonel Jack O'Neill. This is Mr. MacGyver. We had an appointment to see the office of... He was stopped by the look of bewilderment in the girl's face. What?
Do you know you guys look a lot alike?
Without missing a beat, the brothers looked at each other up and down, before MacGyver responded. Really? We hadn't noticed. At this point, they had heard it 1,000 times and decided to have some fun with it. After a moment, the confused woman went back to glancing at Jack's credentials and started a walk from behind the desk.
You were the military guys they said were coming? I'll show you Mr. Tanaka's office, but the police were already here this morning.
As they walked down another hall, Mac reached out his hand. What's your name?
Lucy.
Lucy, is it possible your boss just went out another door? She was already shaking her head before he finished.
No, the only other door is to the stairwell, and that's to the right of my desk. He would have had to go past me to leave, in any case.
Max squinted as he scanned the hallway. And you never left, like, to go to the bathroom, or...
No, I was bringing him a file, and suddenly he was gone. No sound, nothing.
Jack chimed in. You're sure there's foul play involved? Lucy opened the door with certainty.
Based on this, I'd say yeah.
Both brothers' eyes widened as they took in the view. Mr. Tanaka was a man very proud of his heritage, based on the immaculate office adorned with authentic relics and artwork from Japan. It was as close as he could be to being in a Japanese water garden. Not a bit of Vegas to be found in the room. There was, however, something that didn't match. The office had been tossed. Files thrown everywhere. Paintings ruined and pottery broken. A giant circle with a line through it, painted in red on the wall. By the streaks running down, Mac could tell that they had used a can of spray paint. No way to track it. Oh! The two started to fan out and look around.
Do you need anything else at the moment?
O'Neill made his way towards the desktop PC. Actually, yeah, could you get me logged in?
Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Do you want to find your boss? He gestured toward the keyboard. Reluctantly, the young woman squeezed past him, and with a few keystrokes, the screen came alive.
I'll be down the hall if you need anything else.
Since Jack was already clicking, Mac took care of the courtesies. Thank you, Lucy. The next few minutes were silent as Jack scoured files and Mac looked at items on the shelf and behind picture frames. Okay, here's something. This guy deals in big real estate for the city, right? Yeah. Condos, offices, skyscrapers. Huh. Then why does he have two locations on a separate drive that are way outside the city limits? What? Mac came to look over his twin's shoulder. Really? Where? Look. One of them is 10 miles into the desert. The other is in the woods, way up in the mountains. And what, you think that has something to do with why he went missing? Jack decided to confirm his suspicions and leaned to yell down the hall. Hey, what's her name? Lucy. Lucy, would your boss have any clients looking for property on the outskirts of the city? The assistant's voice strained to reach from her desk.
No. Mr. Tanaka only dealt with casinos and hotels in Vegas. Anything else wouldn't be worth his time, quite frankly.
Jack was looking at his brother as they listened to gauge his reaction. I think it's worth checking out. Don't you? Mac nodded, but was still distracted. Well, that might be why he disappeared. That doesn't tell us how. As he took in the room again, he noticed a big plastic Godzilla sitting on a shelf among a bunch of very expensive-looking items from Asia. Jack, doesn't that look a little out of place here? Jack just shrugged. I guess. Maybe he's just a big fan. Then why not get a better looking model? Mac leaned down and squinted as he peeked into the toy's opening. Ah, that's why. He smiled, showing Jack the hidden camera lens inside the giant lizard's mouth. He flipped it over, revealing a latch under the belly that held a flash drive. I think Mr. Tanaka's paranoia paid off. Don't you? He handed over the little rectangle to Jack, who promptly placed it in the hard drive. Let's find out. He rewound the footage past the last few hours. The police dusting for prints, and when Lucy discovered him missing to earlier in the day. The screen played forward of an older, well-dressed man in his late 50s or early 60s at his desk when a shadowy figure appeared from out of nowhere. A sudden flash of silver and metal, a thud, and a slumped body hitting the floor was all that was seen. Then the figure, dressed in black, passed by the camera again. The corner of the screen caught a gloved hand spray painting over the expensive wall art, before walking back out of frame. The two brothers stared, waiting for more, but there wasn't anything else. Mac looked toward the direction the figure was heading. It wasn't towards the door. It was the window. The troubleshooter walked over to examine the glass, but didn't see any smudges. Then he examined the sill. He leaned down and exhaled a warm breath on it to reveal a partial boot print. Ah, you've got to be kidding me. He then tugged at the window until he heard a click, and it slid open. He went out the window. How? We're 30 floors up. He could be military or black ops. Let me see that footage again. They both stared at it again. And when the dark figure passed in front of the camera, Mac hit the pause key. In the frozen still was what looked like someone dressed as a ninja with a white symbol on his uniform. That symbol was a circle with a line through it. Within a half hour, the brothers were back in their car and heading out of the bright city toward their first of two locations. The further they went, the more deserted the area became. Soon, a lonely gas station and a final sign warning drivers that they weren't going to see anything for the next few miles came and went. You know this could be a dead end, don't you? Jack squeezed the wheel as he tried to warn his troubleshooting twin. Mac was staring down the GPS directions, waiting for the next alert. Oh, I don't know, Jack. I mean, it seems something's there. Tanaka kept it off the books for some reason. I mean, even his assistant didn't know about it. Yeah, so she says. I just don't want you getting your hopes up, you know? Even though they were the same age, Jack seemed to look at Mac like his little brother. Not that he would ever admit it. He wanted to protect him. It was a characteristic that others found endearing. If he cared for you, he looked out for you. He treated Daniel and the others on his team the same way, despite their skills and abilities. Eventually, the GPS told them to turn off the lonely highway and onto a sandy side road. The only thing around was the sun, that was getting lower and creeping towards the distant mountains. Nothing else could be seen but sand. Miles and miles of sand. Both men looked around while a haunting feeling of unease started to fall over them. Starting to feel a little "the hills have eyes." How about you? MacGyver understood the reference, but before he could respond, he noticed a large metal door on the side of a mound in the sand. There. Jack slowed the car to the spot his brother was pointing. As they climbed out of the vehicle, they noticed the lock was undone and laying on the ground. Mac eyed the edges before pulling the door back. Jack was already pulling his automatic from his holster as his brother started down the long, dark stairwell. There was a switch for the bulbs strung along the way, but they were dead, causing each to take out a small flashlight that they had learned to keep in their jackets. Before he got too far, Mac felt a hand on his shoulder. "Hey, do you mind if I..." Jack held up his sidearm to show he was better equipped to lead the way, just in case they ran into a ninja or two down here. Mac begrudgingly stepped aside, allowing his brother to pass him on the steps. As they reached the bottom of the steps, they looked down a long, narrow hallway. It was a cold cement archway that ran about 50 feet. They slowly made their way to the end and peered into the next room. They could tell by the empty racks and random papers scattered on the floor that the room was ransacked. Well, someone got here before us. Looks like they got everything. Jack was holding the small flashlight firm under his weapon, so wherever he pointed the gun was illuminated first. Mac's light scanned the floor until he stopped at an eerie sight. Well, not everything. O'Neill joined his brother's direction and discovered the pool of blood solidifying under a body laying face down. Tanaka? Looks like it. Let's get topside and make a call. Both brothers backed out of the room, making sure not to touch anything. They were running through the possible scenarios of what happened as they climbed the steps to the hatch. You think that was our ninja kidnapper? I'd assume so. But why kidnap him? Just to kill him? Jack was starting to answer as he pushed the door open, when they were greeted with a blinding light and a booming voice.
Freeze, police! Don't move.
The bench they were left on was not made for comfort. They were left for about a half hour with their hands cuffed behind their back and a policeman standing nearby to guard them. Mac's back began to hurt from leaning forward, and he distracted himself by taking in his surroundings. They were in a dark, quiet hallway that was dimly lit and echoed with footsteps. A blue hue seemed to cascade off the marble walls that led to the busier section of the building. Men and women in different lab coats passed from room to room behind glass dividers past the receptionist desk. Busy night in the station, he thought, before turning to Jack, who had a sly smile on his lips. What? You can get out of these cuffs if you wanted to, right? He whispered, leaning in. MacGyver didn't answer. He just sighed and looked to the floor. This was not a good situation for either of them. Suddenly, another officer walked over and whispered to the first, before both walked to the brothers and helped them to their feet. This way, the one instructed, before leading into one of the adjacent interrogation rooms near them. Have a seat, he added as they took the cuffs off the colonel and his twin. They sat on one side of a plain metal table, facing what they gathered was a two-way mirror so someone could observe them unnoticed. The cold metal chairs weren't much better than the bench, but at least their hands were free. They sat in silence for only seconds before two men entered, the only door in or out. The first was a middle-aged man who looked like a college professor. He carried a file under his arm and had wire-rimmed glasses. His short, graying hair matched his academic wardrobe. His black button-down shirt, plain slacks, and undescriptive jacket showed that not only was he not a fashion plate, but that it wasn't an issue he seemed to care about. The second man through the door was much more hostile looking. Middle-aged with a receding hairline and a jacket and tie that said he knew the impression he was giving. The sneer on his face said he was annoyed to be there. Luckily, the professor spoke first.
Gentlemen, my name is Gil Grissom. This is Captain Brass. We'd like to ask you some questions.
The MacGyver SG-1 audio series was written, performed, and edited by Mac Jackson. Additional voices: Cindy Jackson, Mike Jackson, and Everly Jackson. Original music by Bry Bro. Look for more on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and the Forever Adventure Network. Tips and donations at macjackson@patreon.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for joining the adventure.
The Forever Adventure Network. Welcome to the adventure.